watching around the world.
Pull up the seat and pull out the shot glass. Carnivorous for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass. The coalition of bitches, they talk trash. On the mission to fit in your soft ass. Rolling green and clubbing this golf class. Loaded lust couldn't say they lost ass. The conscious community streets is all sad. Niggas be thinking they heat, they all last. Be conscious of all the sand in the hourglass. Be humble when be prepared when the power pass. Old and young niggas, we all class. Ideology different, we move the ball fast. Yeah, these chickens is out of season, we haul ass. There's a reason we undefeated, it's all fast. Pull up a seat and pull out a shot glass. Carnivorous for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass. Pull up a seat and pull out a shot glass. Carnivorous for the podcast. Try media for the broadcast. Straight up ballin' out on they fraud ass.
Yeah, I'm back, man. I got everything right. Sonic, let's do this.
Trimedia Records.
Quan Boy, go pick it up now. It's on Bandcamp, y'all. Go to DQ Hamptons. On Bandcamp. Donate.
On your ID, you see me calling nigga.
The work is out now.
This league a workaholic nigga. Nickname, big game, big thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes.
Let's go.
Some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch a top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. 2018, I dropped grandiose. Whole track list is dope. Had to keep the family close, yes sir. Niggas acting ill, I got the antidote. Mind quick as antelope, and running down a steady slope, yes sir. Known Grammy winners on my mixtape. Nigga drop like 6 tapes to give your ass distinct face, yes sir. Other 7 hours all hit face. Producer looking at me with the nigga, this is it face, yes sir. On your ID, you see me calling nigga. Out of his league, a workaholic nigga. Nickname, big game, big thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes. Had some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch the top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. Voted best hip-hop back by Dome. About to bubble like a fresh shook pack of soda. Left the post office just to do this shit. Traveling the nation doing music shit. Did a couple tours with the Woo nigga. Official South by with your boo nigga. Did like 4 jobs with the stove guard. Down in Miami with the whole squad. On your ID, you see me calling nigga. Out of his league, a workaholic nigga. Nickname, big game, big thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes. Had some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch a top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. Lost his uncle, had to toughen up. Mixed with Fetty, yeah, he dope as fuck. Named my first son from my favorite rapper. I named him Nazir and he the next chapter. Yeah, always gotta get it while they getting good. Yeah, intellectual country nigga is understood. Yeah, moved to the city of the Mavericks. Yeah, still in this bitch dropping classics.
Fire, fire, fire. Man, that's DQ, as always, bringing us classic, original music. You dig what I'm saying? So we don't have to play other people's music. We have our own, you dig, artists that's a part of the Trimedia family. He's actually an owner of Trimedia. So, you know, skilled artist, I rocks with it. Yes, sir, the great Booker T. Washington. So in the Discord, we have been arguing all day over Booker T. Washington. And they let me know today that Booker T. Washington, peace y'all, I'm here. Camera working now, Sonic. We got it up. So they let me know today that Booker T. Washington was a sellout. to them. You're talking about a man that was born into slavery and fought tooth and nail to the day he died to give black people a to give black people an education, to educate black people, to give them technical skills and a way to support themselves as well as an education that they could pass on to their children. And they call this man a sellout. It's not the first time I heard it, right? It's almost like when people call Dr. Martin Luther King a sellout. You dig? And you say, man, these people did all of these things and accomplished all, and the best you could do is call them a sellout? A quote by Booker T. Washington, calling him sellout. Booker T. Washington says, there is a class. Now, these are the people who was routinely having him pegged as a sellout. He says, hold on, let me pull this. He says, there is a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and pity, and partly because it pays, right? He says some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because he does not want to lose his income. So he's basically saying that there's a class of Negro who is talking down about me because I'm not running around talking about the Negro's grievances and how everybody is doing the Negro wrong. He said he can employ his business, right, or his time to actual work. I ain't got time to be trying to explain to the white man how the Negro feel about how white America is treating him. White America knew what they was doing to the so-called Negro. They knew it. He ain't had time for that. While these people were talking about all of their grievances, Booker T. Washington was building schools. While they was doing all of their complaining, he was building schools for Negroes. He was saying, man, if these people are as racist and as evil as y'all claim that they are, then why would you allow them to feed you and your babies? He said, man, purchase them farms. Come to my schools. We'll teach you the new industrial way how to turn the soil, how to be better agriculturalists, to feed yourselves. Because remember, these people are racist. If these people are racist, right? And I agree, Booker T. Washington didn't disagree that the white man was racist and they have our best interests in heart. He said, but these same people that you claim is racist, you gotta go to them for your underwear. He said, you don't even produce your own underwear. You're not even producing you can't even feed yourself. You don't even control the industry of brick making, of lumber, that you can put a roof over your head. The same people that held you in slavery is the same people that you're begging for economic survival. That's just agitation. Was Booker T. Washington, this was the Atlanta's address, right? I think this quote was from 1905, the Atlanta address, right? So in this quote, people say, man, he didn't speak up enough about lynching and, this and that, right? Well, Booker T. Washington was born a slave in Virginia. All right. Shout out to Fetty. Fetty, I see you in the building. Booker T. Washington is like you. He was from Virginia. And Booker T. Washington wasn't sitting around waiting, right, for nobody to do anything. Booker T. Washington went and got George Washington Carver. Big up Virginia. Big up Virginia. He went and got George Washington Carver, right? One of the leading horticulturists in the country at the turn of the century, right? Great botanist, farmer. We know all about. So if this man was a sellout, right? What does that say about George Washington Carver and them? Do y'all know the first black female millionaire was who? Madam C.J. Walker. She was a supporter of Booker T. Washington. Matter of fact, goddamn Marcus Garvey was a supporter of Booker T. Washington. Now, this is a guy that was all about do for self, right? The Nation of Islam, do for self. You dig? Do for self. How all of the people that talked about do for self, right, are in line with Booker T. Washington, right, more than the boys, and y'all know how I feel about the boys. You dig? Y'all know how I feel about the boys. I think the boys was our greatest intellect of the 20th century. I think he was the finest mind that we produced. I really have. I don't even like critiquing neither one of them. So, but it got so bad in the serve of the day that I almost turned on the boys in defense of Booker T. Washington. And I stopped myself from doing it. Right? I stopped myself from turning on the boys to go and defend Booker T. Washington. I felt as though I could defend Booker T. Washington without turning on the boys. Because for me, I don't agree with nobody 100%. I don't agree with nobody 100%. And I said I go 60-40, right? I say I go 60-40. I go 60% Booker T and I go 40% the boys, right? But in hindsight, in 2025, we can see flaws, right? Or things that we don't agree with both of the programs that both of these brothers have put forth, right? Because we sit in 2025. Right? But it's an issue when we try to tear either one of them down, right? To big up the other. So that was, I'm glad I didn't fall into that problem that they fell into today. I kind of steered clear of disparaging the boys in defense of Booker T. I held my ground. I did very good. Y'all would have been proud of me, right? Y'all would have been proud of me. So Booker T. Washington, they levied that Booker T. Washington was against higher education, far as wise academics. He wasn't, right? But he didn't believe that the masses of black folks, that would have been the best course for the masses of black folk. And I brought out an interesting point, right? That Brass and them and Logic and, one thing that they couldn't answer was, I don't know where this came from, but I kind of flipped it on them, right? I said if the intellectual endeavor of higher education would have been the sole purpose of moving our race forward in America, right? Then the people like Dr. Martin Luther King, who was college, academic, and the boys in them was college academic, Thurgood Marshall, all of them, right? Going into the 1960s, into the 1960s, we got on paper our civil rights, right? I think 1972 was the Fair Housing Act. That was the last thing that was held over our head on paper, right? That kind of that would make us full citizens, right? But since the last civil rights bill was passed, right, that granted full legal citizenship without any caveats to the black man in America, right? The striking down of the last Jim Crow law, right? I think that was 1972. Lyndon Johnson signed it. Somebody can look that up. What do we have? I said, being as though that was that we got that. So, what the boys in them were fighting for, what Thurgood Marshall and them, all of the academics fought for, we got it on paper. But then I said this, y'all. I said, but statistically, if we look at every measurable metric, right, in the social economics of America, right, it says that the Black American is at the bottom of every measurable metric in the social economic in every social economic statistic in American society. So that means that the academic did not push us forward, that the college educated did not push us forward. Since the Atlanta address in 1905, right, to 2025, that is what, 120 years. We're still at the bottom of every measurable statistic as far as social economics and even health. We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom. At the bottom. Right? And listen, I said that without any data, right? But I've heard that for the last 20 years, right? I heard that for the last 20 years. And I said, somebody go check that. And the people that were arguing against me went and checked it. And guess what they said? They said, yo, that shit is actually true. Yeah. Every ethnic group in America has moved ahead of us on the social economic ladder, far as wise an ethnic group. We at the bottom. Now, either something is wrong with us or we made some mistakes. That we put our eggs, too many of our eggs, in the wrong basket. For the majority of us, right? They couldn't admit that we ourselves could have made some mistakes. Again, I'm not trying to tear down W.E.B. Du Bois, but W.E.B. Du Bois believed that the talented 10th, right? That there would be, I don't know why is Sparkles going off 10th. When I said 10th, Sparkles or something went off. That was crazy. How did that, what? Did y'all see that just come across the screen? That was crazy, right? So, indigenous black man say, it's by design, chef. We have no say in these things. That's where I disagree at. That's where I disagree at. You see that? This brother said we don't have no say. What do y'all think is wrong with us? This is disheartening. This brother, and many believe stuff like that. IBM, you actually think you as a grown man don't have no say so in how your life will be. You don't think you have no power in that? You don't think as a group of people we could have aimed our power at making our situation better? You think that white people have that much power? So at this point, y'all should sit down and die. See, systematic racism still does not stop a person. That doesn't stop you. That's a hurdle. So how did all of the black people at that time, get around those things? How was there even black doctors, right? How was there W.E.B. Du Bois's in them if it was just systematic racism was just a brick wall? It wasn't. We have systematic racism now, right? You find a way around it. Not saying that your journey wouldn't be hard or harder than other people, but so if that's the case, IBM, why don't systematic racism hold you back? I believe in systematic racism, right? But it don't stop me from moving forward. It don't stop me from doing the best for me and my family. Now, even if systematic racism was removed from the equation, you still got to do your own work, my nigga. Are you crazy? Right? So whether systematic racism is in place or not, you still got to do your own work. That's what Booker T. Washington was saying. Systemic, systematic, system, racism. Racism ingrained in the system. That's what it means. Systematic is racism within the system. Either way, whether racism, Jim Crow, and all of these things exist, you still have to do your work. You still got to do your work. Booker T. Washington was not against education. That's the lie that is told. But then we got to remember, he was born in the 1850s, right? He grew up around lynchings, lynching was huge, right? At the time that he was building the schools, aggression against the Negro was a real thing, right? He lived in the South. He chose to stay in the South and help the black people in those rural communities in the South. He chose to bring them education, right? That would better their lives where they lived at, right? That man was doing a great work. And for him to be called a sellout, oh, that's crazy. He didn't run, right? This man was born in Virginia. He went even further south. The brother went into God. Y'all do know that Virginia is on the fucking border, goddamn. It's damn near the north. Y'all do know that, right? He went further south. He went into Georgia. He went into Alabama. He didn't run. Brass, we make bootstrap arguments every day. I never heard you say sit down and wait for somebody to come save you. Bootstraps. Guess what? Booker T said, nigga, make your own boots. Y'all talking about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps when you had to buy your boots from the goddamn white man. He said, bro, you should be making your own fucking boots. You should be making your own boots. So let's get into it. What's up, Gaisha? Booker T. Washington says, I stated in the beginning that industrial education for the Negro has been misunderstood. Who's misunderstanding the industrial education right now? The people that's calling Booker T a sellout. Those are the people. Right now. 125 years later, Negroes still don't get it. Right? He said, I've stated in the beginning that industrial education for the Negro has been misunderstood. This has been chiefly because some have gotten the idea that industrial development was opposed to the Negro's higher mental development. This has little or nothing to do with the subject under discussion. We should no longer permit such an idea to aid in the depriving the Negro of the legacy in the form of skilled labor that was purchased by his forefathers at the price of 250 years. He basically said, this is what he was saying. Let me get this off the screen. What the hell is this? The brother just said, right? He said that you was engaged in industrial work, right? Building the country, the South, the economy, right? Through your labor, through your industry, right? All of the skills of, manufacturing and producing, right? These skills was harnessed amongst the Negro. And he said, you, at the time where this will benefit you the most, people are telling you to give it up. For 250 years, that enterprise was used for the benefit of white people. Your labor, your expertise, your craftsmanship, your back, all of that shit was used for the benefit of your slave master. But now, when it's time for you to use that same industrial prowess, right, that you have harnessed for 250 years for free, now you're willing to not use that to build your own people when you see what that has done for white people. You've seen what your skilled labor has done for white people to build their economy, to build their coffers. But now you're free and you won't do it for yourself. That is crazy. So you will plant and feed white people, but you won't plant and feed yourself? You will plant and grow to make and grow plants to make white people money, but you won't plant and grow crops to make yourself, your family, and your people money. You will be the best stonemasons and builders for white people to build up his towns and his houses. But you won't then turn and use that skill to build up your own towns and your own houses? Do you know how nutty that is? Let me continue. This is what Booker T. Washington was saying. He wasn't talking about us just digging ditches. This was skilled labor. Skilled, right? He opened up schools for this. What the fuck? He said, this has little or nothing to do with the subject under discussion. We should no longer permit such an idea to aid in depriving the Negro of the legacy in the form of skilled labor that was purchased by his forefathers at the price of 250 years of slavery. I would say to the black boy what I would say to the white boy. Get all the mental development that your time and pocketbook will allow of, the more the better. But the time has come when a larger proportion, not all, for we need professional men and women of the educated colored men and women should give themselves to industrial or business life. The professional class will be helped in so far as the rank and file have an industrial foundation so that they can pay for professional services. Listen, y'all. If y'all don't understand that, I don't know what else to say. This brother, right? He just said that the skilled labor will then become an economic force where they can support the professional, where they can support the black doctor, the black lawyer, right? They would have need of them then, right? They would understand the usefulness of it. They will be able to support the black bank and the black bankers, right? They will be able to do all of this. They will have the capital and the means to be able to do it. And the crazy part about it is the boys, right, in 1903 said that that was an issue for the black professional. He said that the black doctor, right, and the black preacher has now regressed into demagoguery and quackery. Why? Because the Negro didn't have the finances and the education to understand those professions. Right? They didn't have the money to pay the black doctor. They didn't understand. So the black doctor, right, even up into the 1960s, black doctors was getting their licenses and things taken away from them because he then had to go and do surgery in the alleys and shit like that. Because it was so many poor people amongst black people that, you feel me? The white people wouldn't let a black doctor work on them. They had their own doctors. And the black people couldn't afford a doctor. So black doctors was doing back alley abortions and all kind of crazy shit to supplement their income. Because the community that they would have loved to serve didn't have the capital and the means to actually provide for them. So W.E.B. Du Bois seen that. He seen it. And another thing, W.E.B. Du Bois, the talented 10th, that 10%, that there would be a 10th, right? Or a 10% of black people that would become educated, right? And push the race forward. They would be accepted in white society because of their education, right? And their adjacentness to whiteness. That white people would then see that the Negro could, I guess, be civilized like him. Right? So, but then Du Bois was only talking about 10%. So what was the rest of us that wasn't in the 10% supposed to have been doing? What? So what was the 90% of black people, right? It was only about 50 at this time in the early 1900s. I think it was only about 50 colored universities. So what was the rest of Black America supposed to have been doing while we waited for 60 years for this talented tenth to make white people realize that we was okay? What was the rest of us supposed to be doing? That's the question. Well, Booker T. Washington told you, y'all will be getting about y'all business. Y'all will be the backbone and supporting that professional class that's going out fighting for our rights and all of this, right? We would have been able to fund our own liberation. So in every step of our liberation, we never got to a point where we was 100% supporting our own liberation. We always had to go to white America or some white philanthropist to help us in our advancement financially, because we didn't have the economic basis to do it ourselves. Booker T. Washington said, I'm going to get that to you. I'm going to get that to you. He wasn't talking about us just being laborers. I'm going to say it again. Skilled labor. Do y'all know that that is a difference? Do y'all understand that? Do y'all know what Booker T. Washington was producing in the 1800s at his school? Let's go through some things. Machinery, right? They were producing some of the best wagons in the county, I think of Macon County that Tuskegee was in. What's up, Hits? Where you been at, brother? We missed you early, man. Man, listen, man. But anywho, yeah. What's up, Majasi? They were producing the best wagons, right? They had a wheel making industry, right? They also built buildings, right? The whole Tuskegee campus was built by Booker T. Washington and his students. And his students built all of this, right? Not only did they build all of it, they built the bricks and everything right there in Tuskegee. The first building that they built was a 3-story building, a 3-story brick building, right? They did it all themselves with their own bricks. He said, man, if we're going to be brickmakers, we're going to have our own brickyards. And we're going to make the best bricks in Alabama. That when anybody in that county wanted bricks, they came to Booker T. Washington and them. Industry. That was DQ. DQ will flip any damn thing, yo. His brain is crazy. You know what I mean? I talk about bricks, he talk about bricks. Right? They say that The land that was given to them in Tuskegee was some of the worst land. It couldn't grow nothing. Just bad land. Right? Booker T. Washington, right, brought in George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver actually turned the soil. So what white people thought was bad land, they grew everything on that land. Amazing. He knew what plants to plant. He turned the soil, right? Took the first top layer off, right? Certain plants he put there that actually put nutrients back into the soil. So the first 2 generations of the crops and stuff that he planted was just to put the nutrients and shit back into the soil. Man, these brothers was about their business, man. But these are the people that are called sellouts, right? Now, again, 60-40. 60-40. You can't expect to have one leader to do everything. This is my main point here for all of y'all, right? You shouldn't have one leader. There is not a Messiah. See, this is you all with the religious thinking. See, y'all religious thinking has y'all believing that there will be one person with all the answers. That's not how this thing works. It's not how this thing works. Right? So, if Booker T. Washington wasn't political, do not hold him accountable for something that's somebody else's job. He was an educator and a builder of industry. That's what he did. And he was the best at it. Leave the political shit to the politician. Y'all get that? So, if the boys thing was politics, then let him be the leader of politics. Or if Frederick Douglass was the leader of the political gang, let them do that. See, y'all got a Umar Johnson type of thinking. See, I know what I am. Right? If we was ever to start anything, y'all, guess what I'm gonna be in at? The barber. That's what I do. Right? Brass is the businessman. I'll let him handle that. That's where his expertise lies at. My expertise lies in grooming y'all. You see that? See? But y'all want dude to be a doctor, a educator, a politician, a policeman, a treasurer. No. not how that worked. This man was focused on educating us, right, to make us self-sufficient far as our finances and controlling the industry in our communities, right? That's what he was, to give us the basic education to feed and clothe ourselves coming out of slavery. Right? Now, he believed that his program would bequeath or would have social benefits as byproducts later on down the line, but he wasn't a political agitator. Man, listen, this man was in Alabama, right? Black people were scattered out in these rural towns, in these counties, surrounded by white people, right? He's seeing firsthand the brutality of white people. Why would he put those black people in more harm's way? By agitating white people at that time in these remote places in the fucking South where nobody was coming to our fucking rescue. Why would he agitate that? He wouldn't have been a good leader. He wouldn't have been a good leader if he would have did that. Right? Why the fuck would he do that? Right? See, everybody, 2025, everybody's Malcolm X. In 2025, all you niggas is Malcolm X. This man was in 1880, coming straight out of fucking slavery. There was no street lights in these rural counties, right? This wasn't your major cities that most of y'all live in nowadays that's lit up, right? With lights and shit everywhere. Nighttime was spooky as fuck in Tuskegee, Alabama. Those white hoods was fucking terrifying black people. People lost their fathers, their brothers, their sons, their husbands to the violence of white people. And wasn't nobody coming to save us. So why would Booker T. Washington, right, and under those conditions, agitate that? Why would he agitate that? Now, y'all can do all of that in Philadelphia and in New York and in Boston and in Chicago, right? Y'all do all that agitating these crazy ass white people, right? Agitate them up there, right? And that's not a person being a sucker. That's just realizing where black people was at that time. And listen, people are going to defend themselves no matter what. All right? People are gonna defend themselves. So no matter where black people was at, right, we defended ourselves. But you gotta know when you're putting your people under a stress, something that, he wasn't prepared to deal with. And black people wasn't prepared to deal with the violence of white people, you know what I mean, like that. So y'all can miss me with all of that, right? And I did a show on Ida B. Wells, so I am not saying that we should have kept quiet for lynching and stuff, but being in certain places, you definitely gotta handle that a different way. And Booker T. Washington did it the smart way, in my opinion, right? He supported and funded those causes like that. Look, he took white people money and funded our shit. Smart. Brass and them said they want a link. Oh, hold on. Let's see. He says the professional class will be held insofar as the rank and file have an industrial foundation so that they can pay for professional services, whether they receive the training of the hand while pursuing their academic training. See, he didn't rule out the academic training. Do you know that he taught all of that at Tuskegee? Do you know that Booker T. Washington was college educated himself? He talks about he knew all of the literature. He knew all of the algebra and all of that. He said white people ain't care about none of that where he was from. He said all of that stuff that was in his head about the algebra. He said until he opened up his printing shop, he was of no use with all of that academic education down in that rural South. He said until he opened up his printing press and white people could come to him for a service, all of that algebra and all of that didn't mean nothing to them. And where black people was living at that time. He said, but when he started producing them wagons, right? When he started producing them wagons, right? And making them axles and suspension systems, right? For them wagons, right? And those wheels and everything else, right? Using the latest machines, right? When he learned how to use the mechanized trucks, he called them mechanized trucks, but they were tractors, right? For his farming, and he could repair those things now. He said that's when he became a benefit to his community. He said that's when both black and white people, right, in the South could gain something from his education. Not when he could sit around and tell them how much algebra he learned, you know what I mean, at Hampton, and how much Shakespeare he could. The fuck? The fuck is that gonna do for a farmer whose tractor just broke down? Who don't know how to make the proper shoes and things for his horses? He says, whether they receive the training of the hand while pursuing their academic training, or after their academic training is finished, or whether they will get their literary training in an industrial school or college, are questions which each individual must decide for himself. Y'all get that? See, he wasn't against higher education. He said each person must decide that for themselves. He said no matter how or where educated, the educated men and women must come to the rescue of the race in the effort to get and hold its industrial footing. He said whether you become an academic, right, or whether you become skilled in labor or in some type of field, the main thing you got to do is come back and help get the black race its foothold in the industrial world. He said, I would not have the standard of mental development lowered one whit. There y'all go again. He's hitting y'all with so many daggers. He's hitting y'all with so many daggers. Y'all said that he was against education and higher education. Listen to what he said. Fetty, you still in here? Check it out. He said, I would not have the standard of mental development lowered one whit with the Negro as with all races. Mental strength is the basis of all progress. And I'm going to put a period right there. Right? He said, I would not have the standard of mental development lowered one whit. For with the Negro, as with all races, mental strength is the basis of all progress. So he was saying all education. He said, but then check it out. He said, but I would have a large measure of this mental strength reached the Negro's actual needs through the medium of the hand. Because that's what will help us right now. Niggas needed money. We needed to be able to feed ourselves. We still need that right now. And 150 years later, we're at the bottom of every statistic, social and economic. Because of this right here. I would not have the standard of mental development lowered one whit. For with the Negro, as with all races, mental strength is the basis of all progress. But I would have a large measure of this mental strength reach the Negro's actual needs. He was saying that basically most of your mental strength, right, should be focused on doing for self, on being able to feed yourself, on being able to make a fucking dollar, being able to support yourself, not learning some fucking Shakespeare. He said he wanted your mental strength to go towards your actual needs. I know y'all see that on the screen. Now, this is a person going through the rural South, seeing black people poor, bummy, no shoes. Barefooted black people coming out of slavery. He said, yo, you got to do something to take care of your basic needs. And when you get a hold of that, you'll be able 2 generations down the line, right, to send your children off to college. But your foundation has to be laid. We put the cart before the horse. And 150 years later, we're at the bottom. When every other ethnic group that came in on the bottom, right, those first two generations gave up their aspirations to build a foundation for their people. That's why everybody moves ahead of us. These Asians, those first groups that come over, they work in corner stores, cooking our food, getting called chink and gook. They come over and cook food in the fucking hood, right? And they're able to put their next generation in fucking college, where they're able to outpace all Americans because they gave themselves a foundation. This is what he was saying 150 years ago. And y'all called him a fucking sellout. Well, if he's a sellout, then every ethnic group that came here and got ahead of us, they were sellouts too. Nobody don't call their people who laid the foundation for them fucking sellouts. You don't see the Asian community, right, calling their first generation seeders that came to the West, they don't call them fucking sellouts. They don't call them sellouts. Because they knew they had to get it with their hands. They know they have to lay the foundation. He was saying, coming out of slavery, right? You have nothing. We was like immigrants, right? At this point, we were like immigrants. So we had to lay the foundation for our future generations. We gave nothing to our future generations. So every generation of black people is starting from the beginning. This has been going on for the last 150 years. I don't know why y'all don't see it. I don't know why y'all don't see it. So, if the Jews, if the Asian, if the Irish, right? All of these ethnic groups that came here, right? With nothing, right? They worked and they created they made a foundation for their next generation to be better off than them. And this is what Booker T. Washington said that we had to do. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, or some shit like that my grandmother and them used to say. Right? He said, but I would have a large measure of this mental strength reach the Negro's actual needs through the medium of the hand. Just now, the need is not so much for the common carpenters, brick masons, farmers, and laundry women as for industrial leaders who, in addition to their practical knowledge, can draw plans, make estimates, take contracts. Those who understand the latest methods of truck gardening and the science underlying practical agriculture. Those who understand machinery to the extent, God damn it, iPad went out on me. He says, the latest methods of truck gardening and the science underlying practical agriculture. Those who understand those who understand machinery to the extent that they can operate steam and electric laundries, so that our women can hold on to the laundry work in the South that is so fast drifting into the hands of others in the large cities and towns. Think about that, right? Those goddamn Irish start opening up laundry services, right? When we were still going to get white people laundry and using the bucket, right? And have our whole family with the wash bucket and the scrub thing, and we cleaning that shit manually, right? He said that that was already an industry that black women had cornered. He said, but now the machine washers is now available and we don't have none. So now that industry is being lost. They already bring that, then gave us that industry. They already accept us doing that work. And we were making a profit off of that. He said, but now but we don't know, we don't build, manufacture, or service the electrical wash machines. And he was saying, these are the things that we'll teach so we can corner the market. He said, because other people are cornering the market now on that. He was trying to keep us viable. He says, having tried to show in previous chapters to what a condition the lack of practical training has brought matters in the South, and by the examples in this chapter where this state of things may go if allowed to run its course, I wish now to show what practical training, even in its infancy among us, has already accomplished. I noticed when I first went to Tuskegee to start the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute that some of the white people about there rather looked doubtfully at me. And I thought I could get their influence by telling them how much algebra and history and science and all those things I had in my head. But they treated me about the same as they did before. They didn't seem to care about the algebra or history and science that were in my head only. Those people never even began to have confidence in me until we commenced to build a large 3-story brick building, and then another and another, until now we have 40 buildings which have been erected largely by the labor of our students. And today we have the respect and the confidence of all the white people in that part of the country, in that section. There is an unmistakable influence that comes over a white man when he sees a black man living in a 2-story brick house that has been paid for. I need not stop to explain. Look, he said, now we don't even have to explain that, right? So while y'all trying to go out, right, and agitate for respect, right, I'm going to show you how to get that respect, right? Real respect. Real respect comes when a person knows that you are a useful human being, that they could actually get something out of you. When you are a benefit to society. That's what he's saying. Everybody knows this though, right? We argue about this all the time. He said, I need not stop to explain that part. Think about that. That's a mic drop right there back in, what's this, 1905? In 1905, this man just did a mic drop, right? He said, it is the tangible evidence of prosperity. Let that sit on your nugget right quick. It is the tangible evidence of prosperity. These people ain't begging. He said, we begin soon after going to Tuskegee, the manufacture of bricks. Nigga, I'm not even going to buy white people bricks. I'm going to make my own bricks. He said, manufacture. This man wasn't talking about black people digging ditches. His schools was to make skilled laborers and people who could control industry. Do y'all understand that? That is completely different from just a person digging a ditch. They would have their own brick companies, their own roofing companies. He was talking, they knew how to draw up drafts, the architectural drafts, how to make contracts. This is what he was teaching. He says, we also started a wheelwright establishment and the manufacture of good wagons and buggies. And the white people came to our institution for that kind of work. We also put in a printing plant and did job as well as for the blacks. Create their own printing press there. These people, Booker T. Washington and them, was about getting to fucking work. About getting to work. This don't sound like a person that was telling us to just go dig fucking ditches and pick cotton. This ain't him. Do you think that the Tuskegee Institute and his schools was for black people to be lifting bricks, digging ditches, and what? And picking cotton? Y'all lost. Y'all are lost, man. Like it's I don't even want to do this no more. I'm about to go to sleep. Y'all didn't agitated me enough today. You feel me? Listen. Join the Discord, y'all. Right? If y'all want to hear the other side of this, join the Discord. Right? Because there's another side to what I'm saying right now. Right? There's another side to what I'm saying right now. Right? There's an antagonist that believes that Booker T. Washington was a sellout. Right? I don't know how a person can be a sellout that produced so much. Well, if he's a sellout, we should produce more sellouts. At this point, the sellout sounds like the right way to go. I might have to reassess the sellout. Because again, after 100, I don't know why they keep doing that, y'all. After 100 and something years, if we're still at the bottom, right? Then obviously We chose wrong. We made some mistakes. Again, Booker T didn't say now. Indigenous said that he was misinformed on some truths. Right. So just imagine you saying that. You're talking about a man who was born into slavery. An educated man. He went to college. He was he was degreed, right? And he was a producer. Built schools for black people. This person is misinformed about what? He was misinformed. Was he misinformed when he built those schools? Mostly every city and town that you go to has vocational schools for black people in them to this day. Guarantee you, wherever y'all live at, they'll have vocational schools, right? That was built for black people. It was Booker T's model. My grandfather came to Baltimore to go to a vocational school. In the 1940s. In the 1940s. Right? My grandfather and my father went to vocational high schools. The same one. George Washington Carver Vocational Technical High School in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm going to say this again. George Washington Carver Vocational Technical High School. My grandfather came in the 40s, right? His family shipped him, put him on a train, right? At 14 years old to come here to Baltimore to go to a vocational high school. My grandfather became a mechanic because he went to a vocational school that was created for black people in the city of Baltimore. It was named George Washington Carver's Vocational Technical High School. My grandfather became a mechanic. You see that? He went off and fought in the Korean War, right? He was a mechanic in Korea, right? He came home and worked for Ford, right? Brought a house, brought the rest of his family to Baltimore off of his vocational technical skills that he learned from a vocational technical school that was created, right, in the form of Booker T. Washington schools that was used all around the fucking country. My father went to the same school, right? And my father became an electrician. Okay? My uncle, my oldest uncle, came to Baltimore and went to a vocational technical high school and became a barber. He learned this trade in a vocational school, high school here in Baltimore in the 1950s. My aunt followed him and became a hairdresser, a cosmetologist, right? Guess what? They did all of this and then they was able to send their kids to college. They was able to send their kids to college. You see how that worked? We have these vocational, technical, right? We have these vocational schools all over the country. Me and Hits talked about it. uh these vocational technical schools, right? Where you could go to high schools that actually taught the trades, right? Because they knew that everybody wasn't going to fucking college. My house, I'm always getting something done to my house, whether getting new wood floors laid or, you know, I might, my girl might want something painted or you dig what I'm saying? We might get another bar built. If I show y'all my bar, right? We might get it. But all of the work that I ever get done, I might, want to update my heating and air conditioning system. Whatever I do to my house, I have a black tradesman who does that work. If any plumbing issues happen at my house, right? I go to a black plumber. Skilled. I have electrical problems. I got black electricians, certified. I'm getting my roof fixed now. Insurance company sent me a white company over. They cut me my check. No, I'm gonna go get. I know a black roofer, right? Who guarantees his work. Skilled trades. Every barbershop that I open, I have clients that are carpenters, electricians. That's who I get to do the work, right? If we're not going to do the skilled labor, right, then who is going to do the skilled labor in our communities? So you mean to tell me that we'll make another community rich for the basic necessities that we need in our own community? I had to get a new drive port put in, right? I called the black cement guy. He do all of the cement in the neighborhood. Had to get a new fence put up because of my dogs. Called the black fencing guy. Skilled labor. Cement. Cement. Y'all funny. But look, I'm going to get on up out of here because I'm tired. I'm about to go watch The Walking Dead. Hey, look, yo, I watched this movie. I went to the movies last night and watched this crazy movie. I didn't. It was called Bring Her Back. Nuts. That shit was crazy as I don't know what. If y'all go to the movies this weekend, go check that movie out, Bring Her Back. That shit was wild. Right? That was a wild one right there. Also, what else came out? The Karate Kid, man. My daughter gonna go see the Karate Kid this weekend. The new Karate Kid. You dig? Yep. But yeah, y'all, we gonna get on up out of here. I appreciate everybody for stopping through. You dig? And y'all already know what it is. Big up Virginia. Yo, where my nigga? What was your name, man? He used to always come around and big up Virginia. What was your name? Yo, that was my guy, smart as a whip. God damn. He was a Muslim brother. Yo, what was the dude name? IBM. He used to come on all the time, big up Virginia. What the fuck was your name? Yo, he ain't been through in a minute. Damn, yo, I feel crazy. His name slipped my mind. All right, y'all, we out.
Trimedia Records.
This is my story. To get the story. This is my story. To get the story.
On your ID, you see me calling nigga. Out of his league, a workaholic nigga. Nickname, Big Game, Big Thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes. Had some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch a top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. 2018, I dropped grandiose. Whole track list is dope. Had to keep the family close, yes sir. Niggas acting ill, I got the antidote. Mind quick as antelope, and running down a steady slope, yes sir. Known Grammy winners on my mixtape. Nigga drop like 6 tapes to give your ass distinct face, yes sir.
Cujo, yeah, that's my guy. Cujo, big up Virginia.
On your ID, you see me calling nigga. Out of his league, a workaholic nigga. Nickname, Big Game, Big Thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes. Had some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch a top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. Voted best hip-hop back by Dome. About to bubble like a fresh shook pack of soda. Left the post office just to do this shit. Traveling the nation doing music shit. Did a couple tours with the Woo nigga. Official South by with your boo nigga. Did like 4 jobs with the stove guard. Down in Miami with the whole squad. On your ID, you see me calling nigga. Out of his league, a workaholic nigga. Nickname, Big Game, Big Thing. Handle his business, he never switched lanes. Had some brain surgeries in high school. Still came out that bitch a top dude. Moved to the city of the Mavericks. Came out this bitch dropping classics. Lost his uncle, had to toughen up. Mixed with Fetty, yeah, he dope as fuck. Named my first son from my favorite rapper.